He. When the three parties were in a stalemate, Yang Kai suddenly laughed strangely. Zilong frowned, turned his gaze, and asked a little displeased, "What are you laughing at, kid?" Yang Kai just glanced at him coldly and said nothing. Zilong narrowed his eyes, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. A mere void return stage, dare to ignore him, really don't know how high the sky is and how thick the ground is. Although he was annoyed in his heart, he could still endure it, but Zidong beside him shouted at Yang Kai with a grim expression, "Boy, haven't you heard my father ask you? Are you deaf?" Yang Kai glanced at him, pretended to take out his ears, and then reached out to Zilong and Zidong, sneered, "I will answer when he asks." "What is he? What thing? What are you?" Yang Kai sees that he has no grievances against Zilong and Zidong, but Zilong directly attacked him just now. If it were not for his strong strength, he would already encountered some accident. The opponent is in the second order Void King realm, even if it is a big bullying the small, he still use a sneak attack. Yang Kai was annoyed, and Zidong was so domineering and arrogant at this moment, making him look down on them. So Yang Kai was not at all polite to the father and son. Hearing his insulting words, Zilong's murderous intent was even stronger, and Zidong was also angrily smirked, "Okay, there is such a person. This young master hasn't encountered such a kind of man for a long time, you wait for this young master, in half an hour, this young master will personally take your life." "Is Zidong coming?" Yang Kai squinted at him. With an expression of disdain, he asked, "I wonder if you have heard these words." "What?" Zidong sneered at Yang Kai. "Dogs that bite don't bark. People who yell like you are generally not good at biting people." Yang Kai smiled. "You want to teach me?" Zidong's face suddenly became cold and severe, his tone is deep and cold. "What about teaching you?" Yang Kai laughed, with a crazy look, winked at him for a long time, and continued to provoke, come hit me, there is an idiot wanting to kill me." Zidong's lungs are almost exploding. He think as the Violet Star young master, his status is noble. His own cultivation level is not bad, no matter where he goes, he is praised and supported by the stars and moon. Seeing who is not pleasing to the eye and issuing an order, that person will never live to see the sun the next day. Has he ever been so provocative but powerless? In normal times, he would have already rushed to teach Yang Kai a lesson a long time ago. But in this ghost place, in the medicine valley covered by the 7 bright treasure light, no matter how much he wanted to humiliate Yang Kai, no matter how much he thought of it in his heart, he could only think about it. He didn't have the ability to rush through the 7 bright treasure light to Yang Kai. He had never encountered such a frustrating thing before, and he only felt extremely upset, and he wished to rush to give Yang Kai a blow. Zidong looked at Yang Kai with vicious eyes, spraying hatred anger. "Fool!" Yang Kai snorted coldly, spitting in the direction of him and Zilong, with a look of disdain. "You wait, half an hour later, I will let you know the consequences of provoking this young master." Zilong let out cruel words viciously. "Will you just say it?" Yang Kai looked at him disdainfully. Zidong looked angry and seemed to want to say something, but Zilong glared at him and said lightly, "Why waste your tongue with him? After half an hour, he is dead. You talk so much with a dead person. What for?" Zidong's heart suddenly burst, realizing that his father was a little dissatisfied with his performance, and show that he was humble and taught, nodded and said yes. Although he no longer wasted saliva with Yang Kai, his expression looked even more vicious. Obviously it's about how to deal with Yang Kai after half an hour in his heart. Ha 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 ha. On the side, Su Wei laughed loudly, and while smiling, he clapped his hands. Interesting, really interesting, boy, you are really interesting." The old man discovered that the old man is suddenly very interested in you. He had been standing not far away and watching with cold eyes, watching Yang Kai unscrupulously offend Zilong and Zidong, with a look of recklessness, and while he was secretly refreshed, he also felt that Yang Kai's mind was a little abnormal. Didn't he know that after the 7 bright treasure light retreated, he would definitely die? And judging from the curses and provocations he had just given, Zilong would definitely not kill him simply, he would definitely be tortured. This kid is simply looking for his own demise. If he can bear his breath and take the initiative to evacuate when the 7 bright treasure light recedes, maybe he can save his life, but now. Su Wei looked at Yang Kai as if looking at a dead person. Boy, are you interested in joining hands with the old man? Su Wei smiled and suggested. Cooperate with you. Yang Kai looked at Su Wei, curled his lips and said, I'm not interested, I haven't forgotten how you treated me before. Young man, speak a little bit of morality. Su Wei's face became cold, and Yang Kai actually talked to him like this, which is simply cursing himself. Do I need someone like you? Yang Kai sneered. Seeing that Yang Kai and Su Wei also had friction, Zidong suddenly smiled. At this moment, he also felt that Yang Kai's brain was a little abnormal. Among the 3 parties present, he was the lowest in strength. Not only he didn't know whether to keep a low profile, but he was still so arrogant. After offending one party, he went to offend the other party. This is simply the rhythm of seeking death. How can such a person with no eyesight cultivate to the 3rd order void return stage? Well, he is not a daddy boy like you. Elder Su, this kid seems to look down on you a little bit. Zidong sneered while provoking discord. Su Wei frowned and ignored Zidong. After all, Zilong's existence really made him extremely fearful, and he didn't want to care about Zidong's words so as not to fall into his trap. Moreover, if he want to obtain the comprehension principle flower later, his own strength is definitely not enough. Although Yang Kai seems to have an abnormal brain, he has resolved the attack of Zilong just now. He is good at strength, maybe. With the help of his power to delay the speed of Zilong, as long as there is such a momentary opportunity, he can obtain the comprehension principle flower, and then immediately escape. He couldn't beat Zilong, but there shouldn't be any problem with running away. No matter, the old man doesn't care about you in general. Su Wei seemed to wave his hand generously, and continued to look at Yang Kai. Actually, the old man didn't have much grudge against you before, but you had some misunderstandings before. Misunderstanding? Yang Kai smiled lightly, then this misunderstanding is a bit big. Su Wei frowned and said sincerely, boy, in this place, people will always prioritize their own safety, this is normal. The old man's previous behavior is indeed wrong. If you want to pursue it, the old man can compensate you. He mentioned it lightly and didn't say exactly what to compensate, and then continued, but let's not mention this for the time being. I want to cooperate with you now. What do you think? How to cooperate? Yang Kai asked casually while dissolving the effects of the medicine in his body. Simple, you and I will join forces in a few moments against this Violet Star Master. You should know the preciousness of the comprehension principle flower. If you and I don't work together, no one should expect to get the comprehension principle flower. It will only be for nothing. Su Wei looked serious and authentic. Yang Kai raised his brows and did not answer immediately, as if he was thinking. But over there, Zilong's eyes flickered, staring at Su Wei faintly, and then said. Su Wei, you are presumptuous, you think you can take the comprehension principle flowers from this king by joining hands with this kid. Su Wei laughed, whether is can snatch it, I have to try it before I know. The 5 comprehension principle flowers are right in front of me. Su does not want to miss it in vain. This is something that Su must fight for his life. In that case, I will wait and see if you and this kid can achieve what you want. Zilong looked indifferent, and after speaking, he closed his eyes and looked like he was not shaken by foreign objects. Boy, have you considered it clearly? Su Wei urged Yang Kai, you can look around, there are many spirit flowers and strange plants here, in addition to the comprehension principle flower. There is also a heavenly baby grass, you know what this heavenly baby grass is for? This is something that can be used to refine the Void King pill. If you can get it, you will have a lot of confidence in the future promotion to the Void King realm. There are also a few asking heart orchid over there, which is a good things to hone your state of mind. You can achieve such achievement at a young age, and the state of mind must be unstable. Asking heart orchid is a rare treasure for you. If you succeed, the old man will only ask for a comprehension principle flower, and everything else will be yours. With this, is the old man words sincere enough? Really sincere? Yang Kai nodded. Then you agree? Su Wei smiled. Yang Kai shook his head. Su Wei's face sank, and he shouted angrily, "Boy, are you playing with me?" Yang Kai chuckled, "Old thing, are you really as stupid as a little master? Just by smacking your lips a few times, and people will believe and follow you? Do you even have IQ? Did you live a dog life all these years? I have never seen such an idiot as you." After speaking, Yang Kai shook his head and sighed, with a sad look. After being mocked face to face by him, Su Wei's face was already gloomy to the extreme, and his eyes breathed fire, as if it were the same as that of Zidong. Wishing to rush to Yang Kai to beat Yang Kai to relieve his hatred. This time it was Zidong's turn to laugh and laugh. "Elder Su, this kid just doesn't know how to live or die. You'd better not waste your saliva with him. What's your name?" Yang Kai turned his head and looked at him again, with a venomous tongue, spraying venom. "Can you close your mouth and be a dog that can bite people instead of barking? You really don't have a good memory after being teach. If I were your father, I would choke you to death as early as you were born. It seems that your father is not much better to give birth to such a stupid son." To be continued.